Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, starts now. Absolute craziness. Paulina Luna in the news with Donald Trump, Hill and Hillary Clinton and company. The plot thickens as company leaders leave in government. Wow. They're parting company, people. We're also talking about the Epstein files. We're talking about websites melting down across the country. We're talking about One America News Now having to fire someone. We're talking about Lawrence Summers. This is the former Harvard guy. Also, U.S. Treasury Secretary. I guess he's supposedly going to take some hard self-imposed action. Interesting, to say the least. The House of Representatives going to vote, they say today. What will it really mean? We'll get to that. President Trump says he's going to meet with the communist new mayor of New York. That's interesting, to say the least. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene wants peace. Wow, that's green peace, isn't it? Just kidding. All right. Trump criticized a reporter from Bloomberg. We'll talk about that. Justly so, by the way. Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson in the news. Scientists grew milk without cow. What? Yeah, they created milk without cows. Ain't cow's milk then, is it? Just saying. Representative Paulina Luna, we talked about her. She wants peace. No, wait, she doesn't want peace. She wants to talk about things. It's the other gal that wants peace, Miss Greene, right? There's a new study being published. How do you experience it? Is it cold or hot temperature that's really the problem killing people? It's both. We'll talk about that. NBC poll reveals 63% of Americans believe, and I'll tell you about that too coming up. Welcome to the show. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. I'm Sam Bushman. A guest later in the program, Mr. Mike Lindell. He's been dishonestly, unfairly mocked, ridiculed, sued, deplatformed. I mean, I can keep going because he believes the Dominion voting machines are absolutely dishonest, bogus. I agree with him 100%. He's right as rain. Now, a lot of people have mocked him because he hasn't had everything perfect. He's a human, and he's doing his very best to ferret things. And a lot of times, a lot of the complications in this are out of people's wheelhouses. Some of it's tech, and some of it's this and that, and a lot of people don't know how it all works. And so it's easy to stumble. But at the end of the day, Mike Lindell has been proven right over and over. So has Tina Peters. And my prayers are with both of them. Anyway, we'll have Mike on the broadcast coming up, so be ready for that, baby. Meanwhile, main headline for this morning just broke right before we hit the airwaves. Numerous websites around the world melting down. Yeah, because of a crash in what are called CloudFlare servers. How many of you know what CloudFlare is? Major platforms infected: X, ChatGPT, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Shopify, Amazon, just to name a few. Isn't that just about everybody on the internet? Not quite, but getting close, huh? According to, quote, Down Detector, that's a online site. Go to downdetector.com to check it out. They list whenever there's reports of outages. Reports of outages around the world, then Down Detector usually gets it first because all kinds of tech people know to report to Down Detector, and it becomes kind of the clearinghouse for what's going on. How bad is it, etc. And according to Down Detector, listen to this, services like Spotify, OpenAI, so ChatGPT, Oz, which I don't know much about, Verizon, YouTube, Claude, which is another ChatGPT equivalent, DoorDash, no lunch for you, baby. Zoom, no meetings. I mean, people are starting to love it, aren't they? Google and Reddit also are facing downtime issues in the United States of America. This outage, they say, was reported today, and at 9 o'clock Eastern, about an hour ago or so. They say many websites were still down, and a Cloudflare spokesperson disclosed that the outage began, and then they talk about this UPC time, which, you know, doesn't really relate to us, except for you got to do -7 or minus whatever, -5 plus whatever, depending on where you live in the world, right? Anyway, they say, hey, it really caused a bunch of problems with their network. So that's interesting to say the least. If you are experiencing all kinds of internet trouble of any kind today, just know that when you have a company like CloudFlare, Amazon, some of these huge players, ChatGPT, you know that it's going to be internet trouble. So I hope they get it back online quickly. But I'm telling you right now, wow. These companies have got to put some better plans in place, when it comes to like airlines, when it comes to Amazon, CloudFlare, ChatGPT, Microsoft, these kind of things, Google. You're talking about massive companies. The internet gets crippled. And when it becomes a utility that we depend on now, it's not just like I get on the internet for fun. It's like, no, I need this stuff for my life. Zoom is what governs a lot of people's meetings or Teams. Either of those are down, and man, you can't have any meetings hardly, at least the virtual kind. Unless you're going to go back to a phone line. Most people don't even know what phone lines are anymore. Can't get too many people on other systems. What are you going to do? Go to AOL? Google's affected too, so no Google Meets. See what I mean? Every single meeting service that's big is affected in this. Blue Jeans and a few others might not be, but I'm just telling you, you start saying, hey, I can't get to ChatGPT because CloudFlare's down. I can't get to Amazon to buy anything for my company. As an IT guy, I got to buy things for the company and update things. And okay, can't do that. Can't have meetings. Can't. Pretty soon it's like, can't even compute. Can't even work. Might as well take the day off, right? People are depending on it that much, and that's why this is such a big deal that I thought I'd sound off on. But take courage, ladies and gentlemen. Everything in the world is not about Donald, and everything in the world is not about the internet. Okay, you can survive without the internet. I get it. If it was down for months and years, it would be significantly paralyzing to the economy and everything else. But if it's down for a half a day, you might not be able to use whatever it is, DoorDash, to go ahead and get your lunch. But you might actually decide to leave your office, and you might actually drive somewhere, and you might actually get lunch and talk to people and not use your phone and not use your computer. And you might actually have a few hours of a normal old school life. What do you think of that? Wouldn't that be kind of cool? I think many of us would welcome that. Not that I want everything to be down for a long time, but sometimes a power outage, sometimes the internet being out, sometimes it's just a blessing. It's like, honey, you don't have to work today, or I don't have to work today. Why don't we just go out to lunch together then and just take a little breather? Or, take your kids out if they need to come home from school, or whatever the case may be. I'm saying a little bit of family time, a little bit of time with friends and loved ones and associates, and good things. Good things can happen when people talk. And imagine if people actually listen. Could you imagine that? If people listen to one another? That'd really be a great start to a great day, in my humble opinion. All right. This is a very weird story, but I'm going to go for it anyway. One American News Network. Good friends of ours, Own News. They do a phenomenal job. Anyway, they had determined the Matt Gaetz show producer. His name is Vish Burra, okay, on Monday. I guess he posted an AI-generated cartoon. And it depicted Jews as cockroaches. He also labeled them vermin. I just don't even understand this story, to be honest with you, folks. It's out of control. The cartoon, they say, was shared last week and later deleted. I wonder why. It's obvious. Come on. The network's executives called the post, quote, highly offensive and anti-Semitic. Now, I have a problem with this anti-Semitic term because it only relates to Jews. You're anti-Semitic if you attack Jews. If you attack, other people, it's not considered anti-Semitic. See, that alone is anti-Semitic. It's racist. Okay, why do we have a term that relates to one group of people based on their ethnicities and or their religion, but other groups don't have a similar? Okay, it's wrong to treat any of God's children less than another. I don't care what group we're talking about, right? Anyway, Vish Burra wrote on X, I will expose the vermin and the feminist coalition and their transgressions against MAGA, America First, and Kevin Roberts over at the Heritage Foundation. Well, then I guess the post got deleted. Matt Gaetz, of course, it was his show. Vish was the producer. Matt Gaetz responded on X, acknowledging the post's inappropriateness and indicating that Burra would face consequences. Now, this is kind of where we've got to be very, very careful on this. Because Vish has every right to send out any cartoon he wants to or create any cartoon he wants to. Do I think it's wrong? Absolutely. Do I support Vish? Absolutely not. But understand we got a fine line here, baby. The fine line is, when does Vish have the right to think what he wants, believe what he wants, have his free speech? Versus what about the rest of us and how we should respond to it? I want to talk about that a little bit more because this is an important subject indeed. Where's the fine line? How do you appropriately deal with this? Those are the important questions to ask. Why don't we follow the supreme law of the land as our guide, shall we? I'm Sam Bushman. This is Liberty Roundtable Live.
Can a nation conceived in liberty carry its head high if it denies protection to the youngest and most vulnerable of its citizens? Can a country founded on God-given rights continue to thrive without understanding that life is a precious gift from our Creator? As a physician, I have looked into the eyes of 1-pound babies. I have cradled their small bodies in the palm of one hand. I defy those who are careless, who would disregard life and look at these tiny little miracles and say, we're not going to protect that. But I believe there will come a time when we are all judged on whether or not we took a stand in defense of all life from the moment of conception until our last natural breath. One thing I promise you, I will always take a stand for life.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
We're talking about this crazy story, ladies and gentlemen. OWN News Network, or One America News Network, had to fire Vish, the producer for Matt Gaetz, for releasing I would say, a hateful cartoon. But I want to be very clear about some things that we need to understand. First off, I wish Vish hadn't released this at all. I mean, it's disaster. Okay, it just puts egg on the face of all the conservatives unnecessarily. Poor Matt Gaetz dealing with this. Everybody dealing with this. But I want to be very open and clear. The First Amendment gives you the right to say and think and believe what you want to. Where the line is drawn, ladies and gentlemen, isn't on how we feel about what Vish did or what Vish said or what Vish released. Okay? I think it's horrible and heinous, and I'm against what he released. Okay? Because I believe we're all God's children and we should treat one another like it. There shouldn't be any such thing as anti-Semitic or hate for anyone. Now, you can hate actions. When somebody rapes someone, I hate that action. It's horrible. It's awful. It's evil. It's satanic. It's wrong. It's wicked. It's perverted. It's got to stop. But at the same time, you know, that person that did that is a son or daughter of Almighty God. We need to remember that and keep that in place. Well, anyway, so here's the point. Everybody wants to now shun Vish. And, you know, he's a horrible person. He's awful. He'll suffer consequences. I think he should suffer consequences. And not being the producer over at OWN for Matt Gaetz is one of them. I agree. We don't need people on the air like that. At the same time, though, let's be very careful because, you know what? I would interview Vish. Yeah, I would. Vish Burra, I would interview him. And you would say, Sam, how dare you? What? I believe every one of us needs to talk more, judge less, try to seek understanding before being understood, okay? That's kind of my mantra. That's kind of what I believe in. That's why when I bring people on the air, even if I disagree with them, I don't oftentimes voice my blatant disagreement at the time. Not because I don't disagree or not because I do agree. It's because I'm not here to just bring you in and try to chop your head off or bring you into a lair as a talk show host and use my debating skills against you and make you look like a fool or, I'm not here to bring you on to do that. That's not healthy talk radio. I know it's Jerry Springer kind of talk radio and it's kind of fun and people like it. Oh my gosh, Sam handed this person their head. Did you see that? Okay, I get it, but I don't like it. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's the right way to behave. So I would bring Vish Burra on the air with me, and we would have a candid conversation. There wouldn't be a bunch of judgment. There would be some pushback because I disagree with him completely. Okay, they say the cartoon was shared last week and then deleted. And my response is, did you create this cartoon or did you just find it somewhere, Vish? First of all. In other words, was this your creation or just something you passed along? If it's something you passed along, who actually created it? Because they're not getting any negative focus. And they should be. The network's executives called the posts highly offensive and anti-Semitic. And I would talk to him about that. I'd say, these posts are highly offensive. Some say they're anti-Semitic. See, I don't agree with the anti-Semitic term, though. I just think it's an unfair, dishonest term. How do the Jews, religiously and or ethnically, how do they have a term if you abuse them, but yet that term doesn't apply to, say, me? What if somebody abuses me for being a white, male, heterosexual, America First, patriot, I'm not MAGA, but I believe in making America great again. Anyway, what's the term if somebody's unkind or abusive to me? Rolling Stone magazine was certainly unkind and abusive to me. But there's not even a term to cover the wrongs that I suffer. Anyway, so I would ask Vish about that. I would clearly say, what gives with this? Why are you releasing such hatred, He says, I will expose the vermin in the venomous coalition. Well, I kind of agree with him that there is a venomous coalition. Anybody who speaks out anything about the Jews is somehow a bad guy. See, I personally think Israel is not the biblical Israel that we think of. The biblical gathering Israel is all 12 tribes of Israel. It's not just Judah, right? There's 12 tribes of Israel as far as my Bible reads. And so I'm not here to attack Israel, but I'm also not here to pretend Israel is holier than thou. And I do think as the United States of America, we ought to follow sound de-escalating doctrine that George Washington of yesteryear and Ron Paul of modern times, as well as Sam Bushman advocates for, which means let's avoid a foreign entanglement like the plague because it won't do us any good. It'll just spin us into oblivion, engender hatred by the opposing parties, build the military-industrial complex, and generate what the CIA documented as incredible blowback against we the American people and our leaders. We don't need any of that. So I would say to Vish, I don't appreciate you releasing this cartoon, writing this kind of stuff, but do you really have that kind of hatred? Or was this really just to try to get some news coverage? See, there's a lot of talk show hosts that want to go out and just say salacious things, say crazy stuff, because it gets them ratings. It gets them promos. It gets them, right? Joe Rogan's like, we're about to hit Civil War. We're at, level 7 or whatever he called it. Well, then Glenn Beck writes back and says, hey, let me tell you what I think about it. See, now both of them increase their stature in the news because of the salacious headline. Well, if I make a headline like that, nobody seems to care. Well, Sam, it's because you're not important enough. Okay. But Matt Gaetz responded on X and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and take care of business with this. And he's going to have accountability, indicating there would be consequences. I don't know what the consequences are, but I can just tell you this. I reject what Vish has done. But I will say he has the right, and this is the fine line, he has the right to do it and say it and think it. Well, just because he has the right to say it and think it and believe it and everything else, and we shouldn't shut him down, and I would interview him because I'd like to know what makes him tick. Did he really mean all that? Does he really believe that? Does he believe that against other people except for the Jewish population? What gives with that, right? I'd like to know what makes him tick. It's also why I'd like to interview, for example, some of the people that have assassinated people and killed people that are still alive. I'd like to interview those people and see how their minds tick too, to see if we couldn't get some kind of an understanding. What brought them to the brink of this view? What makes Vish think the Jews are so evil? Well, Sam, they own everything, and they own a lot of things. But you know what? All kinds of cultures have things that they do. Right? The Vietnamese are known for painting women's nails in the United States. If you go to get your nails painted, oftentimes it'll be a Vietnamese person that does it. That's just because they've taken that on as something that they've become very good at. They've kind of taken over a lot of that market. You see that with gas stations in certain groups of people. You see that with, certain groups of people. Chinese people come and they start Chinese restaurants all over the country. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean they're wicked. It does mean they end up getting a corner on the market because they are willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do oftentimes. But anyway, I'd like to know what makes Vish tick. Why did he release that? What's the purpose for it? It gets egg all over Matt Gaetz' face. It gets egg all over the Heritage Foundation. It doesn't do good for me. It doesn't do good for any of us conservatives at all. It's a disaster. Anyway, our prayers are with truth and our prayers are with accountability. But I would like to know what makes us what makes his mind process through that. And most importantly, I think not only does he have the right to say and think and believe what he wants to, so does Donald Trump. So does Tucker Carlson. So does Nick Fuentes. And we may disagree with their views vehemently, but they have the right to them. And we have the right, though, to do what we want to do about them. So would I give Vish a talk show? Not a chance. One America News Now terminated Vish Burra. Why? Because they believe what he said and did is wrong, and they don't want to be part of that. They have every right to do that too, right? Imagine that we have self-determination in this country. And imagine we could let people say and think and believe what they want to. But let me give you an example. We're treating Vish and Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and everything worse than some of these other people, which I find very, very strange. The guy's name is Lawrence Summers. He's a former Harvard University president, and he's a U.S. Treasury Secretary, right? He's a former both of those. He says he's going to step back now from public roles to focus on personal relationships after his connections with Jeffrey Epstein were revealed. So this guy's a Jeffrey Epstein buddy. Big dude in Harvard. Big dude U.S. Treasury Secretary guy. The House Oversight Committee released over 20,000 pages of emails on November the 12th. And that's just after, I guess, they released 30,000 pages not too long before that. So we got 50,000 plus pages already. The Epstein redacted as all get out. But at the end of the day, this guy, why? Well, he sought relationship advice from Jeffrey Epstein as late as 2019. In a statement to the Harvard Crimson, Summers expressed, quote, deep shame and took full responsibility, they claim, for maintaining communication with Epstein. Now, I disagree. He didn't take full responsibility at all. I'll get to that in a minute. Summers, a, quote, senior fellow for American Progress and director at Harvard's, whatever the Center for Business and Government is over there. This guy's a senior fellow. He'll continue teaching 5 courses. And the emails that got released say that he had contact with Epstein until 2019, even after he knew he was a convicted pedophile and everything else. Imagine the leader of Harvard hanging out with a perverted, convicted pedophile like Jeffrey Epstein. They say he's going to step back from some duties, but there's no criminal activity being pursued here. There's no, get rid of him from Harvard entirely. They're writing letters saying, oh, he's taking complete action. He's taking care of business, right? I don't accept that. He hasn't taken deep shame and full responsibility for this. For 10 years when Epstein was a felon and a convicted pervert, this guy hung out with him. Only now, 15 years after that, does he express some regret? So we think this guy's worse than Vish, right? Let's talk about it. I'm Sam Bushman. Liberty Roundtable Live.
Protecting your liberties. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Can't reach your favorite internet site or service this morning? Well, this could be why. Internet infrastructure provider CloudFlare says that some sort of an issue is causing global outages of ChatGPT and social media platform X and many other popular online destinations. CloudFlare says it's now working to fix the problem. President Trump's Gaza peace plan, his blueprint for securing and governing Gaza, has cleared a key hurdle, garnering strong support in the UN Security Council.
Donald Trump said the Board of Peace would be chaired by him and that its other members, the most powerful and respected leaders throughout the world, he said, would be named in the coming weeks. Under the resolution, the Transitional Board would oversee the reconstruction of Gaza and the delivery of humanitarian aid. The International Stabilization Force, or the ISF, would work with a Palestinian police force to achieve the demilitarization of Gaza. Russia and China did not exercise their vetoes but abstained to let the resolution pass, largely because the Palestinian Authority and 8 other Arab and Muslim nations backed it.
The BBC's Neda Tawfik in New York. President Trump welcomes Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House today, among other things. They'll talk about a potential sale of advanced American fighter jets to the Saudis.
It's been a great ally. They've got to like us very much. Look at the Iran situation, what we did in terms of obliterating, we obliterated their nuclear capability. Yeah, I will say that we will be doing that. We'll be selling F-35s.
President Trump is urging congressional Republicans to vote yes on releasing all files relating to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Today, the House takes up a bill directing the Justice Department to release the files. Wall Street, the Dow down 492 points. Townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, host of The Mike Gallagher Show. I don't mess around when it comes to saving you money. Right now, rates have dropped to the lowest level in over a year and a half. That means if you bought your home or refinanced in the last 3 years, you could be saving hundreds of dollars every month. Lower your rate, lower your monthly payment, even kick that pesky PMI to the curb. And get this, you can skip 2 full months of mortgage payments. But that's not all. Fellowship Home Loans just rolled out something incredible. Their very own HELOC and lines of credit. Approval in just 5 minutes. Money in your account in as little as 4 days. It's the easiest system you've ever used. You can do it yourself online. Whether you want to pay off bills, tackle a home project, cover education, or even a wedding, Fellowship Home Loans makes it simple to leverage the money that's already sitting in your house. Just go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending guided by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Experience the untamed spirit of the American West with Range Magazine. Each issue is a visual journey featuring award-winning photography and compelling stories that capture the heart of ranching and rural life. Stay informed on the challenges and triumphs of those who live and work on the land. Subscribe today and receive quarterly editions delivered to your doorstep, and join a community that cherishes the enduring legacy of the Western frontier. Visit rangemagazine.com to subscribe.
Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character, where educating both hearts and minds brings about academic excellence. There is a school in American Fork where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. Based on LDS principles and a love of country, now in our 39th year, American Heritage School is accepting fall enrollment for kindergarten through high school. What would you do for your child? Give them an education that will prepare them for life. Located east of the Temple in American Fork, American Heritage School is a remarkable and affordable alternative. Visit us, find us online, or in the Yellow Pages, American Heritage School in American Fork.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm talking about this Vish Burra that got fired from OWN News. Matt Gaetz acknowledged and says he'll be dealt with. He'll face consequences, whatever that means. But you know, this Lawrence Summers guy, this Harvard guy, this former Treasury Secretary guy, announced that he's going to kind of back off from some of his duties. He sought relationship advice from Jeffrey Epstein up until 2019. All right, this is a problem, okay? But we're saying in the news that this Summers guy, hey, he took full responsibility for the Jeffrey Epstein thing. But yet Vish, he's going to go down in infamy. And I think that's wrong. See, I would like to interview Lawrence Summers as well. I'd like to interview Vish. I'd like to interview the people that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, whatever these guys' names are. And say, you know, what's going on? What makes their mind tick? See, can I do that as a journalist? Or am I anti-Semitic for doing so? You see Tucker Carlson getting abused for dealing with Nick Fuentes. And I personally think Nick Fuentes has every right to say and think and believe what he wants to. And I personally think Tucker Carlson has every right to interview Nick. Nick represents a large group of people. Okay? So Donald Trump criticized a Bloomberg reporter during a conversation about Tucker Carlson's interview with Nick Fuentes. Trump pointed out that Carlson has the freedom to choose his interview subjects. Imagine that. Good for Donald. Trump noted that he once participated in an interview with Tucker Carlson, which garnered 300 million hits. Now, I don't know what a hit is compared to a listen or a watch or a view or an impression or, they got a gazillion terms to measure things. The president also mentioned a past incident where he brought Nick Fuentes to a dinner at Mar-a-Lago and didn't really know who he was. Meanwhile, Carlson defended his position to interview Fuentes during a talk with Sirius XM's Megyn Kelly. The interview tackled all kinds of subjects like identity politics, etc. It was posted by Tucker. Amidst this controversy, Heritage Foundation president defended the interview and then got so attacked they kind of backed off and one guy resigned. And anyway, they say the National Task Force to combat anti-Semitism. What about a national task force to combat the attack on heterosexual men, Christian men and women, Christian leaders? Is there a national task force to protect us? Anyway, they severed ties with the organization. Fuentes, known for his controversial views and statements, believe it or not, has over 1 million followers on X and attracts considerable support on platforms like Rumble. So you go, wow. Well, this is the point. I commend Donald Trump for defending Tucker Carlson. And I commend Tucker for having the guts to interview some of these people. Tucker, I hope you interview Vish next. What makes this guy's heart tick? What's going on with that? And how are these guys, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Vish, maybe me, if you look at the Rolling Stone magazine and believe the lies, how come we deserve such abuse? Somebody who murders babies, abortionists? Somebody like Bill Gates who wants to reduce the population? I don't know how you do that kindly and lovingly, especially when God said multiply and replenish the earth and that has not yet been rescinded. I don't know how you, okay, but you can hang out with those guys. You can accept advice from Jeffrey Epstein as the leader of Harvard, one of the leaders of Harvard, one of the U.S. Treasury secretaries, and you can be hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, and it's really no harm, no foul. They kind of be like, oh, you took responsibility for your actions. You backed away and said, oh, my gosh, it was horrible to hang out with Jeff. But I don't want to hear that you've, policed yourself. What I want to hear is we dug into it, and we found out that Lawrence Summers, did he just accept relationship advice from Epstein? Or did he get kind of relationship hookups from Jeffrey Epstein? See, how do we, act like Vish is the worst in the world? I don't support Vish. I don't agree with Vish, but I do support his views. I know I've said that several times, but I really want to hammer that home because I want Americans to really understand you don't have to agree with someone to support them. Okay? What is it, Voltaire? I don't agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. All right, now the House of Representatives is supposed to vote later today to mandate the Justice Department disclose all files concerning Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, folks, I don't believe they'll do that at all. What do I mean? Yeah, they'll have the vote. They'll twist arms. Yes, it will pass the House. Right? But then approval by the House, folks, will not conclude the process. You got to have Senate passage. And then you got to have Trump's signature as well. Now, Trump has said he'll sign it. The proposed Epstein Files Transparency Act demands the release of all, now listen, unclassified DOJ documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, including those concerning Ghislaine Maxwell, potential flight logs, travel records, and associated individuals. But then comes the kicker, which tells me this isn't real at all. Listen, all unclassified. Then they say this. Following a September release of over 30,000 pages. So they've already released 50,000 pages. And now they're saying, we'll release the not classified, and then we'll redact. And we'll redact to protect the victims and ongoing investigations. Well, there's already an ongoing Ghislaine Maxwell thing. She's still in jail, right? She's getting special privileges. So I appreciate the House voting today, and I appreciate the process and the gains made. But I don't believe that the proposed Epstein Files Transparency Act will give us much. By the time you say it's classified, by the time you say we're protecting a victim or an investigation, you've redacted almost the whole thing. Right? Last week, they already released 20,000 pages, and then in September, they released 30,000. But you already have 50,000 pages on this thing. And the fact is, we don't have any real solid pay dirt. We don't have any real prosecutory evidence or reality at all. I submit to you, we're being punked. Okay? We're being punked on this thing. I hate to tell you. I wish it wasn't so, but I'm convinced we're being punked on this thing. Now, Trump was for it before he was against it, before he was for it, before he's against it. He's a flip-flopper, and I don't know how to explain that away to you. I won't. There you go. I don't know what Donald's thinking. Now Donald says it's the Democrats. It's all the Democrats. Democrats did it all. It's the Democrats. And I'm kind of going, what? How is it all the Democrats? As far as I understand, the Republicans were blocking the files from being released. The Democrats have been blocking the files. We've been talking about it. We've been promised the files from Pam Bondi, and then she claims, oh my gosh, I got confused, or I was talking about something different than you guys thought I was. And then Donald says no, and then he says there's nothing in it. It's all the Democrats. The Democrats say it's all the Republicans. And then Donald says, well, everybody who was friends with Jeff was a Democrat. So Donald, you were friends with Jeff. Were you a Democrat? Did Donald Trump used to be a Democrat? See how we're being punked, folks? Everybody's got the blame game going on, and nobody's got any prosecutions underway. How long have we been sitting on these Epstein files? Forget releasing them to the public for a second. I'm not saying that's not a good idea. I support that. Release it all. Be transparent. But he died in 2019, supposedly, and it's been, 6 years now? We haven't done much with the files. Ghislaine's in jail, but she's got special privileges in jail. She gets to hang out and play with her puppy. And, well, right after she met with the government, she's got some special deal going on. Now she's pushing for Donald Trump to pardon her. Do you feel very confident in any of this, folks? I certainly don't. I certainly don't at all. Now, folks, it's getting worse. because Representative Anna Paulina Luna stated that Bill and Hillary Clinton are refusing to testify before the U.S. Congress regarding their connection to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal or the convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Bill and Hillary Clinton are refusing to testify before the U.S. Congress. Now, here's my question to you. Why then haven't we arrested Bill and Hillary? Let me see if I remember this correctly. Wasn't there a guy by the name of Steve? And didn't he refuse to testify and therefore they threw him in jail? Do you remember who that is? I'll tell you right after the pause. I'm Sam Bushman. This is Liberty Roundtable Live.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
I did not have involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Not one time. Never. So that's what Bill Clinton said about Monica, and he got caught lying. There was no real accountability, a minor impeachment, and, he lied to the courts and lied to the American people, but no real repercussions for his actions whatsoever. And that's why I don't have a lot of confidence in this Jeffrey Epstein thing. They've been covering it up since day one. And now the American people are demanding accountability, so they're going to release something to make you feel good, pat you on the derriere, and send you on your way there. Right? Anna Paulina Luna stated that Bill and Hillary Clinton are simply refusing to testify before Congress. Luna criticized House Democrats for their, quote, silence on the matter. I think everybody's got some silence on the matter. No one's taking it as serious as I would. Trump linked Bill Clinton and others in the Democratic Party to the Epstein scandal, advocating for the release of all Epstein files. Well, he advocated for the release, then he didn't, then he did. I don't even know where Donald stands. Here's my opinion. Donald sees that he's getting separated from MAGA. His ability just to manipulate and say what he wants and everybody believe him, those days are going away. People are starting to go, wait a minute, Donald, not so fast. Former President Bill Clinton used a spokesman and denied any wrongdoing, dismissing the allegations as distractions. So isn't it interesting that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton are both calling distractions? Does that concern you? Well, Paulina Luna went on TV. Here's what happened.
Both Bill and Hillary Clinton missed their scheduled depositions to the House Oversight Committee over their alleged connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Now the panel's working to accommodate the retiree schedule. Keyword there, they're retired.
Look, I don't think that there should be any accommodations made for these people. You know, you have Congress. They did a whole lot worse to President Trump and everyone around him, especially after January 6th. But I think Bill and Hillary Clinton should be required to come in really at the convenience of Congress, because, as you know, there's a lot of staffers and it's hard to get those depositions on the books. But I think it's more importantly to note that, you know, the Democrats didn't think that they would actually have to send a subpoena to these people. And as you know, they used the Epstein files as a political way to smear the president. And so I'm all for transparency, and I think that these people should be required to come in.
Both Bill and Hillary Clinton.
All right, there you go. So I want to kind of talk about this because I appreciate Anna speaking out and saying, hey, I think these people ought to come in. She's speaking on Fox News. Okay, but I look at this and go, I mean, I appreciate a plea on TV to come in. But what about the law? Didn't our buddy Steve, I think his name was Steve Bannon, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. Steve Bannon didn't go testify, and didn't they throw him in jail for that? So my question is, when is Bill going to jail, baby? When is Hillary going to jail? Not only for refusing to come in and testify about Jeffrey Epstein, but more about whatever, to delete all the special emails that was going on. I think that thing is called Bleach Bit, is what it's called. Basically disintegrating files on her personal server and everything else. She got away with all that. Now, Donald Trump says she's a criminal. He said that on the campaign trail over and over. Let the American people chant, lock her up. And he loved it. He supported it. He smiled at it. It wasn't until after he got elected that he said, I'll leave Hillary alone. Come on. Hillary's fine. Okay? It's a disgrace. But you know what? I really think we need to back off of inflammatory remarks. I've said that forever. And I appreciate Anna Paulina Luna being civil and decent about it. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pretty salty herself. Her and Donald Trump are getting into it now. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to back off, though, and change her tune. And I really want to commend her for this. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced on CNN with Dana Bash that she's got a decision to move away from toxic political rhetoric, acknowledging how it contributes to what they call a divisive climate. Now, she's been divisive over the years, that's for sure, and she's finding out it doesn't go so well. Now, she did criticize some of Trump's foreign policies and said they don't align with an America First policy or principle. It's okay, folks, to speak out about or criticize ideas, thoughts, beliefs, actions, bills. Okay, it's okay to take on things. What's not okay to do is attack people so much personally that you lose focus. Okay? So she highlighted the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? She said, it's a turning point for me. Greene apologized for her past actions, and she called for political civility and unity. She expressed hope that Trump would follow her example. Additionally, she touched on their disagreement concerning the Epstein files and said, hey, I just want transparency. I don't mean any disagreement or disloyalty to Trump. I just want transparency. I agree with her. And that's my point. I'm not attacking Trump unless, Trump, you've got something to hide. Now, what Trump wants to do is tell you that it's all about him. We were going to play a video of Trump, and Trump basically says, hey, all this is a clown show. It's all about me. Look at all I've accomplished since I've been president. Is the video available, or did CloudFlare shut it down? All right, so it's not available because CloudFlare's down, as I mentioned at the start of the hour. So sorry, we don't have that video. But previously, inflammatory remarks and support for extreme positions led to Greene's removal from House committees in 2021 and from another caucus in 2023. This inflammatory remarks oftentimes isn't good. And the sad part is we're all guilty of it because we've all been taught that in our lives. Hey, you got to punch back harder. Hey, you know, we social media has taught us that. Society and government schools have taught us that. And I really hope Trump does follow her example. She says, I express hope that Trump will follow my example. Amen. But here's the deal. I appreciate Marjorie Taylor Greene and her change of position, her 180. And I think it's tremendous, and that's why I'm praising her for it. But I want to tell you who's been on this bandwagon before Greene. It's been yours truly. I mean, I've got Campaign for Civility, Call for Civility, that I've been talking about since 2015. I've been at it longer than all of these people. And I appreciate every one of them realizing the importance of this. We've got to step back and be civil. We've got to be willing to open dialogue with even people we completely disagree with, because we need to hear what they have to say and why. Right now, it's very interesting, folks, that not only have I been on this civility viewpoint for quite a while, this anti-bullying campaign, if you will, but you know who else has been on it with me? That's right, Donald Trump's wife, Melania, the First Lady. Mrs. Trump has been literally saying, let's back off from this since Trump's first stint as president, 45, if you will. And she basically created what's called Be Best. And it was the Be Best campaign trying to help children not bully one another. Well, I think it needs to translate to the adults as well. We're in the middle of supporting her in that effort, so much so that we're creating BeBestPress.com. It's not done yet, but we're working on it. I've just got too many irons in the fire. I can't work on everything at the same time. But Melania's right. I'm right. Miss Greene now is correct. Maybe Trump can step back from a lot of the attacks. Maybe they can stop attacking Nick Fuentes. Maybe we can stop attacking Vish, and we can just agree to disagree agreeably and say, I don't agree with your views. And I may not be willing to talk, carry your views forward, but we always ought to be willing to talk and give somebody a chance to state their case. We always ought to support their right to believe and say what they think. It's okay to disagree. It's how we disagree that needs to be questioned. Okay, so Greene touched on the disagreement between Trump and her on the Epstein files and on Israel. Why can't we just say Greene has her views on Israel and here's what they are? Trump has his, views on Israel and or on Epstein and here's what they are. Why can't we do that? I think we can, and I think we should. Last story to end the hour. Headline says, scientists brew milk without cows. What does it mean for America's dairy farmers is the question now, right? It's crazy town is what it means. Oh, my heavens. Who wants milk without cows? They call it lab-grown, animal-free milk. Whoa. Produced without cows, but they say it contains true milk proteins, such as casein and whey. And I guess it's supposed to hit Israeli supermarket shelves next year. This is so weird. With variants including a 3% version, a 3% fat milk version. They're going to have vanilla flavors through Milk's partnership with Gadberries. Or Dairies, I guess it is. Anyway, the product is lactose-free, cholesterol-free, hormone-free, and antibiotic-free. And they say it's chemically almost identical to cow's milk. Even though they say no cows are involved. I wouldn't touch this stuff if my life depended on it, folks. You'll find out it'll give you cancer or something crazy. Don't trust it. Just saying. I'm Sam Bushman. No fake cow's milk, okay? All right, thanks for being alongside with the ride. We're syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.